Hey YouTube fam, welcome to my YouTube channel and thanks for clicking on this video. Today's video lecture is going to be very interactive because in today's video lecture, you and we are going to discuss about the multiple choice question. Now let's form the base of today's video lecture. जब हमने ये सीरीज ऑफ लेक्चर स्टार्ट किया था, that was on drugs acting on autonomic nervous system. At that time, autonomic nervous system को हमने two main categories में divide किया था. The very first division is known as sympathetic nervous system and the second one is known as parasympathetic nervous system. जब हम sympathetic nervous system की बात करते हैं, we have some drugs which try to copy our own body's sympathetic nervous system and ऐसे ड्रग्स को हम बोलते हैं sympathomimetic drugs. कुछ ऐसे ड्रग्स होते हैं which tries to reduce our own body's sympathetic nervous system and ऐसे ड्रग को हम बोलते हैं sympatholytic drugs. So आज के इस वीडियो लेक्चर में you and I will form basic concepts regarding the multiple choice question and also you will get how to solve and what are the key elements to look for to solve any multiple choice question. So let's start our today's first question. Which of the following is a non-catecholamine sympathomimetic agent? Now, जब भी हम कोई भी मल्टीपल चॉइस क्वेश्चन देखते हैं, ऑलवेज फाइंड द कीवर्ड. जैसे हम ये क्वेश्चन को फिर से रीड करेंगे एंड आई विल टेल यू वेयर टू फोकस ऑन. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज अ non-catecholamine sympathomimetic agent? So in this particular question, non-catecholamine sympathomimetic agent is our keyword. Our options are adrenaline, ephedrine, dopamine and isoprenaline. To solve this particular question, we need to understand what is the main difference between catecholamines and non-catecholamines. Catecholamines ऐसे components होते हैं which is having catechol ring or catechol nucleus. Now the question is, what do we mean by catechol ring? ये ऐसी ring होती है which is having a benzene and on that benzene ring we have OH group attached at third and fourth position. So ऐसे components जिसके पास ये catechol ring present होती है, we call those component as catecholamine and ऐसे component जिनके पास ये ring present नहीं होती है, we call them as non-catecholamine. So when we were discussing about the division of sympathomimetic drugs based upon their structure, हमने इसे two main categorization में divide किया था. The very first one is catecholamine and the second one is non-catecholamine. Now catecholamine में भी कुछ ऐसे components है which are produced by our own body and इसे हम बोलते हैं endogenous catecholamine. The examples of endogenous catecholamines are first one adrenaline, noradrenaline and we have dopamine. कुछ ऐसे components होते हैं which are not produced by our human body but we produce such kind of drugs in our laboratory. यानी कि ये synthetic drugs होते हैं. Few examples of synthetic drugs or we can say exogenous catecholamines are isoprenaline, dobutamine and we have phenol-dopam. Now let's move on to the category of non-catecholamine. We have our main examples like salbutamol, phenylephrine, tyramine, ephedrine and amphetamine. So in this particular question, we need to find out non-catecholamine sympathomimetic agent and from our basic division we have the option B correct, that is ephedrine. Now अगर मैं यही क्वेश्चन को थोड़ा सा ट्विस्ट कर दूं, जैसे अगर ये क्वेश्चन में आपको पूछा जाता कि विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ एंडोजीनस कैटेकोलामीन, सो वहां पे you will have correct option as adrenaline and dopamine, because adrenaline and dopamine belongs to the category of endogenous catecholamine. और एक क्वेश्चन इसमें से बन सकता है जैसे which of the following is an example of exogenous catecholamine sympathomimetic agent. So from our division we have isoprenaline as an example of exogenous catecholamine. So अगर ये क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता, our isoprenaline would be the correct answer. I hope you understood this particular example very well. Now let's move on to our next question. The rate limiting enzyme in the synthesis of catecholamine. Now for this we need to understand कि नॉरएपिनेफ्रिन बनता कैसे है. इन अवर बेसिक वीडियो लेक्चर हमने देखा था कि जो टायरोसिन है विद द हेल्प ऑफ टायरोसिन ट्रांसपोर्टर विल एंटर इनटू अवर नर्व एंडिंग, एंड नर्व एंडिंग में एंटर होने के बाद it will be acted upon by a very important enzyme, and the name of that enzyme is tyrosine hydroxylase. This tyrosine hydroxylase ये क्या करेगा? This will add one OH group to our tyrosine molecule, and after the addition of OH group to our tyrosine molecule, जो हमें molecule मिलता है that is a dopa, and this my dear friend is the rate limiting step in the synthesis of noradrenaline. So now let's move on to our question and let's read what will be the correct answer. Option A, tyrosine hydroxylase will be our correct answer, because ये जो particular step है it is a rate limiting step in the synthesis of norepinephrine. अगर आपको ऐसा पूछा जाता कि which of the following is the rate limiting step, and वहां पे step दिया होता, यानी कि conversion of tyrosine to dopa अगर आपको ऑप्शन में दिया होता, then you need to mark tyrosine to dopa will be our correct answer. बट यहाँ पे हमें एंजाइम पूछा गया था. एज यू कैन सी इन दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन हमें रेट लिमिटिंग एंजाइम ढूंढना था, एंड द नेम ऑफ दैट एंजाइम इज टायरोसिन हाइड्रोक्सिलेज. नाउ लेट्स आल्सो रिवाइज कि कौन से ऐसे इंपॉर्टेंट एंजाइम्स है व्हिच आर रिस्पांसिबल इन द सिंथेसिस ऑफ नॉरएपिनेफ्रिन. जैसे ही डोपा बनेगा, दिस डोपा will be acted upon by an enzyme, and the name of that enzyme is dopa decarboxylase. ये dopa decarboxylase क्या कर रहा है? It is removing our COOH group, and after the removal of this group, जो component हमें मिलता है that is our dopamine, and ये जो dopamine है further it will go into our storage vesicle. And after entering into our storage vesicle is having a very specialized enzyme, and the name of that enzyme is dopamine beta hydroxylase. ये enzyme क्या करेगा? It will add OH group at our beta position, and finally our norepinephrine will be getting produced. So that was about the discussion on second question. Now let's move on to the third question. The following type of uptake is blocked by reserpine. Our options are neuronal uptake, vesicular uptake, extraneuronal uptake, and option D is all of the above. Now to understand this particular question, we need to understand the mechanism of action of our reserpine. So we will understand this with the help of a figure. Let's say कि यहाँ पे dopamine बन गया है. Now this dopamine will enter into our storage vesicle. Now this dopamine entering into our storage vesicle is facilitated by a very important transporter, and the name of that transporter is VMAT2. Reserpine क्या करता है? It blocks this particular VMAT2. So अगर ये VMAT2 block हो गया, do you think कि ये जो dopamine है that can enter into our storage vesicle? The answer is no. Why? Because हमने ये VMAT2 को block कर दिया. So let's look back into our options. Neuronal uptake. क्या reserpine neuronal uptake को block कर रहा है? The answer is no. Why? Neuronal uptake का मतलब होता है this particular uptake, that is our norepinephrine transporter. Reserpine is not blocking norepinephrine transporter, so hence neuronal uptake will not be our answer. Vesicular uptake, yes, this is our right option because ये जो storage granules है या फिर हम इसे storage vesicle भी बोल सकते हैं, डोपामीन अगर इसके अंदर हमको inhibit करना है, then we need to block this particular VMAT2 transporter, and this is blocked by our reserpine. So option B will be correct. Extraneuronal uptake क्यों नहीं होगा? Because extraneuronal मतलब न्यूरॉन के अलावा, यानी कि दिस नर्व एंडिंग के बाहर का जो भी हमारे न्यूरॉन्स है वहां पे वी कॉल इट एज एक्स्ट्रा न्यूरोनल अपटेक. सो reserpine वहां पे भी काम नहीं करता एंड ऑल ऑफ दिस तो आएगा ही नहीं. सो करेक्ट ऑप्शन इज अवर ऑप्शन नंबर बी. नाउ हमने इतने सारे ड्रग्स डिस्कस किए थे विच आर मेनली एक्टिंग ऑन अवर नर्व एंडिंग. So let us revise all those drugs one by one. हमने देखा था कि एक important drug है which is inhibiting or blocking the activity of tyrosine hydroxylase, and the name of that drug was metyrosine, which can also be called as alpha methyl tyrosine. कुछ ऐसे drugs होते हैं which actually blocks the exocytosis process, and ऐसे ड्रग्स के नाम है ब्रिटाइलियम एंड वी हैव गोनाड्रिल. जब हम इनडायरेक्टली एक्टिंग सिंपैथोमाइमेटिक ड्रग्स पढ़ रहे थे वहां पे हमने देखा था कि कुछ हमारे ड्रग्स होते हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल टायरामिन हो गया, एम्फिटामिन्स हो गए. ये अपना काम दिखाते हैं by displacing our norepinephrine, and thus by increasing the concentration of norepinephrine in the synapse. And ऐसे ड्रग्स के नाम है, this particular we have tyramine and amphetamines, and also to some extent ephedrine can also promote the release of noradrenaline from adrenergic nerve ending. Ephedrine comes under the category of mixed acting sympathomimetic drugs because ephedrine के पास दो एक्शन है. नंबर वन एक्शन, it can directly stimulate our adrenergic receptor, and also it can promote the release of noradrenaline from the adrenergic nerve ending. अभी हमने देखा कि एक ड्रग है which can block the vesicular uptake and storage of norepinephrine, and the name of that drug is reserpine. कुछ ऐसे ड्रग्स होते हैं which act by blocking this particular transporter. The name of this transporter is norepinephrine transporter, जिसे हम शॉर्ट फॉर्म में नेट भी बोलते हैं. So we have two main drugs which is blocking this uptake, or we can say reuptake mechanism. We have mainly cocaine and also we have ट्राइसाइक्लिक एंटीडिप्रेसेंट्स। कुछ ऐसे ड्रग्स होते हैं which can stimulate this alpha 2 adrenergic receptor, and the name of those drugs is clonidine and alpha methyl dopa. कुछ ऐसे ड्रग्स होते हैं which can inhibit the MAO, that is monoamine oxidase, which is a very important enzyme. We have non-selective MAO inhibitors as phenylcypromine and pergylin. We have selective MAO-B inhibitor as selagelin. So ये सारे के सारे ड्रग्स याद रखना बहुत जरूरी है, बिकॉज इनमें से कुछ बहुत सारे ऐसे डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चंस भी आते हैं इन मेनी कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जामिनेशन. लेट्स मूव ऑन टू अवर नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. द प्रिंसिपल प्रोसेस which terminates the action of noradrenaline released from adrenergic nerve ending is. Once again we need to go back to our figure. जैसे ही ये noradrenaline और norepinephrine synapse में आएगा, it is mainly acting on our adrenergic receptor. Now what is the fate of our norepinephrine? Majority of this norepinephrine is taken back by our nerve ending with the help of norepinephrine transporter, and this is the main important principal step which is mainly responsible for terminating the action of noradrenaline. So यहाँ पे the correct option would be C, that is neuronal uptake. Moving on to our next question. Dopaminergic D1 as well as adrenergic alpha and beta 1 but not beta 2 receptors are activated by. Our options are dopamine, dobutamine, methoxamine and phenylephrine. Now जब हमने डोपामिन स्टडी किया था, in the dopamine we mainly focused on dose dependent phenomenon of dopamine. हमें ये पता है कि in the low dose our dopamine can directly stimulate dopaminergic D1 receptor. जब हम डोज को थोड़ा सा बढ़ा देते हैं, our dopamine gets an add-on action to stimulate our beta 1 adrenergic receptor. In high doses our dopamine can directly stimulate our alpha 1 adrenergic receptor. So हमें ऐसा ड्रग ढूंढना है which can stimulate dopaminergic receptor, which can stimulate beta 1 adrenergic receptor, and also it can stimulate our alpha 1 adrenergic receptor. And from our previous discussion it is very evident that dopamine is our correct option. Now just forget कि आपको डोपामिन नहीं पता है, you don't know कि डोपामिन is having dopaminergic action या फिर एड्रीनर्जिक अल्फा एंड बीटा 1 को भी ये स्टिमुलेट करते हैं. So we can look at this particular question in another way. Just try to eliminate the option. Dobutamine is similar to dopamine, but it is not having any dopaminergic action. But question में we need a drug which is having dopaminergic D1 action. So dobutamine के पास ये action नहीं है. So option B is eliminated. Let's come to option number C. Methoxamine. Methoxamine is also not having any dopaminergic activity. It is only having alpha 1 adrenergic receptor activity. So option C is also eliminated. बचा option D, phenylephrine. Again phenylephrine is alpha 1 adrenergic receptor agonist, and again it is not having any dopaminergic activity. So option D भी eliminate हो गया. So we eliminated option B, C and D. So correct option एक ही बचता है, that is dopamine. सो कभी आप अगर एग्जाम में भूल जाओ अबाउट अ पर्टिकुलर ड्रग, just try to eliminate the option by looking at that particular drug and question में कौन से रिसेप्टर की एक्टिविटी आपको चाहिए, एंड मेजॉरिटी क्वेश्चंस आप ऐसे भी सॉल्व कर सकते हो एज वी सॉ इन दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन. मूविंग ऑन टू अवर नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. vasomotor reversal of Dale is due to, our options are alpha blocker, beta blocker, alpha and beta blocker, and option D is none of the above. Now for this we need to understand what do we mean by Dale's vasomotor reversal. Remember, ये जो Dale's vasomotor reversal होता है, it is purely an adrenaline phenomenon. So अगर आपको एग्जाम में क्वेश्चन आए कि which of the following drug shows Dale's vasomotor reversal, your option would be adrenaline. अगर adrenaline ना हो and epinephrine दिया हो, then you need to mark epinephrine. Why? Because adrenaline and epinephrine both are same drugs. So let's talk about some basic concepts regarding Dale's vasomotor reversal. When we give adrenaline in high dose, our adrenaline is having the capability to stimulate our alpha-1 adrenergic receptor. And alpha-1 adrenergic receptor जब हम stimulate करते हैं, it increases our blood pressure. So as you can see, this is our normal blood pressure, and after giving high dose of adrenaline, our adrenaline works on alpha-1 adrenergic receptor, and उसके वजह से there is a rise in the blood pressure. Now जैसे time pass होगा, our adrenaline will get metabolized, and ultimately उसका जो concentration है वो कम हो जाएगा. In low dose or low concentration, our adrenaline can stimulate beta 2 adrenergic receptor, and हमें पता है कि जब हम beta 2 को stimulate करते हैं, there is a fall in the blood pressure, and this particular response of adrenaline is known as biphasic response. So एग्जाम में अगर क्वेश्चन आए कि which of the following drug shows the biphasic response, your option should be adrenaline. And again, adrenaline ना हो, you need to mark epinephrine. क्या ये Dale's vasomotor reversal है? The answer is no. Now let's do one thing. हम alpha blocker देते हैं, and after giving alpha blocker, we will give adrenaline. तो क्या होगा? This particular adrenaline will not work on our alpha-1 adrenergic receptor. Why? क्योंकि alpha blocker दिया है. Alpha blocker will block this particular adrenergic receptor. So जो adrenergic receptor बच जाता है, that is our beta 2 adrenergic receptor, and we know by stimulating beta 2 adrenergic receptor there will be vasodilation, and because of vasodilation जो हमारा blood pressure है that will fall. So this particular phenomenon is known as Dale's vasomotor reversal, and उसका जो statement है, it states that there is fall in the blood pressure after giving alpha blocker. Alpha blocker देने के बाद when you give adrenaline, this adrenaline will purely work on our beta 2, and उसके वजह से there will be no biphasic response, but only fall in blood pressure will be seen. So let's move back to our question. Vasomotor reversal of Dale is due to, अभी हमने देखा कि it is mainly due to alpha blocker. So option A will be correct. Moving on to our next question. Action of dopamine in 1 to 2 microgram per kg per minute dose is. Now when we were discussing dopamine, मैंने कहा था कि in the low dose our dopamine can stimulate D1 receptor. ये D1 receptor कहाँ पे प्रेजेंट होते हैं? वैसे तो ऑलमोस्ट सारे के सारे ब्लड वेसल में प्रेजेंट होते हैं, बट ज्यादा अमाउंट में इट इज प्रेजेंट ऑन अवर रीनल ब्लड वेसल. वहां पे when we stimulate our D1 receptor, it will produce dilatation, and dilatation के वजह से more blood can go into our kidney. So just हमें ऑप्शन में ये देखना है कि which option states that there is more release, or we can say more supply of blood to our kidney. So the correct option will be option number B, which states that increases renal blood flow. Now vasoconstriction कब होगा? Remember, vasoconstriction के लिए we need to stimulate our alpha 1 adrenergic receptor, and dopamine in high dose can stimulate our alpha 1 adrenergic receptor. So in high dose vasoconstriction होगा, and because of vasoconstriction there can also be increase in the blood pressure. Cardiac contractility कब increase होगी? When we give dopamine in moderate dosage, it acts on our beta 1 adrenergic receptor, and beta 1 को जब हम stimulate करेंगे it will increase the contractility. So by giving dopamine in low dose it can stimulate D1 receptor. In moderate dosage it can stimulate beta 1 adrenergic receptor, and in high dosage it can also stimulate alpha 1 adrenergic receptor. Now let us move on to our next question. Our next question is adrenergic beta receptors having lipolysis property in the fat cell is. This is a direct question, and the option which is correct is option number D, that is beta 3 adrenergic receptor. In previous video lecture हमने ये डिस्कस किया था कि ये जो बीटा 3 है that is present on our adipocyte, and जब भी हम ये adipocyte वाला बीटा 3 adrenergic receptor stimulate करते हैं, it actually stimulates the breakdown of triglyceride into free fatty acids. In short, it promotes the breakdown of lipids, and breakdown of lipids के लिए we have a very special term, that is lipolysis. So option D will be correct, that is beta 3 adrenergic receptor. Now और एक location है जहाँ पे you need to remember the location of our beta 3 adrenergic receptor. Our beta 3 adrenergic receptor is also present on our urinary bladder. वहाँ पे when we stimulate this particular receptor, it will relax the urinary bladder, and उसके वजह से जो urine output है that will be reduced, and the name of that drug is mirabegeron. So ऐसा क्वेश्चन आ सकता है कि which of the following drug is mainly beta 3 adrenergic receptor stimulant which is present on our urinary bladder. So in that particular case you need to mark mirabegeron. That's it for today's video lecture. I hope यहाँ तक आपने देख लिया है तो definitely आपको ये lecture पसंद आया होगा. If you find value in my content, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Press that bell icon, share and like this particular video. See you until the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.